or from their relationship stress, that yes, there is a beautiful hope right beginning from today, which starts with the 6 planets that have come together on the most auspicious day of 13th of September. In this era, in this time, man has divided himself into two zones. First is the external zone, and the second is the internal one. The external becomes, just give me a second, let me share the screen with you all. Uh, is it audible? Is it, is it seen by everyone? The
Yeah,
screen?
yeah, it is seen. Yeah.
Yes. So there are only two things that are important in today's life of a human. First is the amount of information that is flowing in, information coming from all quarters. And that information needs to be segregated, that information needs to be understood, needs to be thought about, and then needs to be acted upon. In doing this entire cycle, what is more relevant is that who is driving this entire cycle of the information that we are getting, the information that we are processing, and the output that we are giving out. It is the emotions. Emotions are the fuel, actually, that is driving each one of us. How we are managing it, our success, our way we are dealing with relationships, our way we deal with our work, our house, the way we are dealing with our education, everything is revolving around what is our mindset. So the external part is the information, while the internal is the emotions. If you will look at your screens, there are two pictures. The information that is pouring in is freely available, is coming from all quarters. You just can't control the information that is coming to you. And it is all meant for your consumption. It is up to you that you need to filter which is relevant or which may be needed for a future use or which can be discarded. For this, you need a pragmatic mind. And that comes through an emotional involvement. That is throwing out the positive side of the emotions is this blue water, which is coming back to it, back to the reservoir, while our negative emotions are going up, creating a mess in the environment and not as conducive to others as well. In this whole process of receiving information and giving out an output, the emotion that has been playing, some of us are enjoying it and some of us are not. We are suffering. But all that is happening within us. We are the factory of going through our ups and downs or just being neutral in a given situation. Some of us don't realize this, but it is the outsiders who are judging us. Outsiders are giving us the certificate of whether we are assertive, whether we are aggressive, or the way we are taking our things as in passive mode. That brings me to the point that we all human beings lead two lives, the outside and the inside world. For the outside world, we spend maximum number of time. We will spend on our dressing, on our food habits. We'll adapt to what is needed in the culture. We will adapt to the lifestyles, the education which is needed. Okay, these are the relevant courses that we need to keep ourselves going, to keep ourselves meaningful. It's a matter of not only surviving, but it's a matter of creating ourselves as a brand. So we are spending a lot of time towards the outside world. Our focuses are only what is happening out so that I can bring it in and I can upgrade myself to yet again deliver to the outside world. However, In the inside world, most of us are unknown. We are not aware that where, which system, at which given point, are we going to get depressed or we are going to get sad? What is going to affect us that is going to make us happy? Or it may be a chain reaction. We will just, see that, oh, we are angry. We did get, annoyed with someone, but we don't address that. We move on to the outside world. Okay, which is our next project? Can I just go ahead and finish this off? If our health is also not good, we will pop in a medicine because the work that we have to deliver outside is more of importance rather than seeing that what has that pill done which has gone within our system. It may give us relief, but what are its side effects? Only if we would have paused to think that, yes, this is what is going to happen. Maybe I could have brought my inner system into a corrective mode. We take our emotions for granted and make no investments to upgrade our emotions. Most of us would not go in for an emotional therapy. Most of us would not even talk to our friends, our relatives, or within the family that, oh, today I'm not feeling good. Can you help me out? Can you? Because the other person also does not have time. If we are looking in the present COVID times, wherein, working from home, or some of them have put it as working from anywhere, many of them are considering that it could, bring in some sort of a balance between work life integration, it could bring about. However, this is not happening. What are we seeing? That, there are families who are getting abusive. There are people who are depressed, who are getting frustrated while staying at home, because this was not the norm that we had been born with. We were born with an understanding that we have to go out, earn, come back, and then rest. The home was a resting place, whereas outside world was a giving place. Now merging the two, and that also happened all of a sudden, though it gave about, a few weeks of time just to, adapt to the new system, but that was not easy in many homes. The reasons could be plenty, and because I can very well appreciate those who are struggling with it, because most of them have smaller homes where the husband may also be working, the wife is also working, and there are kids who are going to schools. All three are working from the same house. The children have the online classes. They need some space, some room to sit and understand what their teachers are saying. So is the spouse needing, both the spouses. And in case if there are families who are having parents or relatives staying with them, it created a further mess because we were not tuned mentally for this new scenario. Like it or not like it, in some or the other manner, we all have been affected. But those who did understand their emotions and were understanding how to adapt with the balance between work and life at home, they were people who adapted into the system much faster. They went into it and they started with their normal office working, or else the business, everything that they started. Yes, there have been plenty of struggles, because connecting in this way, though it's easy for me to give a, talk and all of you are listening, but to get productivity out in this manner is not easy. Hence, it has affected most of us. The different types of emotions are, we all are aware, there are positive as well as negative, and there are some neutral emotions, anger, anxiety. If these are, if negative ones, the positive ones are admiration, adoration, appreciation, amusement, to be in awe, excitement, happiness. So it's a mixed bag, and all of us have all types of emotions. These neutral and positive or negative, we all should exercise them. Getting angry is not considered wrong till the time it is not harmful to you yourself as well as to the relationship that you are getting angry upon. If a mother is getting angry on a child, it should be in that much limit that after a few years, the child should not feel, oh, I don't need to, interact with her. In the same manner, if an employee, two employees being in the same team, we all are working, trying to achieve, everybody has their own goals. It's got nothing to do with the superior or a junior. Even a senior has a target to meet, so has the junior. Everybody is trying to meet their own targets. Only if we could believe in another and we could, accept that, yes, we need success together. I am sure even if you are getting angry, which is necessary, maybe at that given point, one can go back and just say, oh, I was sorry. Maybe I could have done better. This will reassure the relationship. This will reassure the faith of the other person in you. And it will bring about a check within our own personalities and the ways we behave. The reason why there is a fallout and our focus is less on emotion is because right from our childhood, from our school days, none of the schools teach us how to keep our emotions under control. We are always taught that how to study, how to do our math well, how to do science well, how to do languages well, and how to move on to the next grade. For us, it's a chase of numbers. We learn only chase of numbers, which grows into as we get into the workforce. Everywhere, the demand is on budgets. Can we meet it? Can we do it? And in trying to do that, somewhere emotions have been left behind. Since they have been left behind, it is no one, no one is to be blamed. It's not the parents that who did not teach or the schools. It was not there in the system per se. If we can inculcate a quotient of emotions now into our system, right from the education level to college level, to our workforce, to our system at work, we all can bring about a significant change. What has COVID done? COVID has set the button. It's a reset button. Whatever were the targets long back, I don't think in pragmatic and progressive organizations, they would still be trying and they would still be driving those numbers. They will reset and bring it down, looking at the present scenario. That's called being wise. Because everybody knows it's a struggle time. There are workers who aren't coming back, so production will take a backstage to a certain extent. Demands will go down. The supplies at the same time would not be so high. So we all need to reset our buttons, whether it is on the emotional front, whether it is on the temperamental front, whether it is on a professional front, intellectual front, all of them, because the scenario, the circumstances are not the same. The top priority should always be given to emotions because that's the controlling button of every human being rather than focus as much in getting 90% or 99%, getting into the top schools and all. Maybe I would not be one of the right persons of saying this, but I would like to say that today, the people in the business are likely to shine those who can come up with very innovative thinking. People who can think out of the box and find solutions. And that's where we need information. Information, yet again, is not irrelevant. deals with intellectual, it brings about fun, humor, music, entertainment, personal, professional, spiritual, all sorts of information is needed in our life. So it has to be a full bag of our internal understanding, wherein all sorts of emotions are needed, but in a measured manner, in a manner so that we do not afflict pain on ourselves or pain on others, or and which may snap the relationship. And at the same time, gather as much information to keep ourselves sustained and relevant for 70 to 80 years of our life. That's the life we generally, human beings, are leading, provided our immune systems are very good. So, while we are getting information, we must focus that how much of information is needed. Can we filter that information? And can we have intelligence enough that this is relevant and this may be relevant after some time? We put, compartmentalize and put them in different pockets so that we remember to recall as and when that information is needed. That is how we don't get carried away by information, but we control information for our future use. The sync between emotion and information, the inside world and outside world, I would like to call that emotion is a fuel while information is machinery. So to run, in case if it's a vehicle, we all possess, it could be two-wheeler, it could be a four-wheeler. Yes, a lot of information is there about the vehicle, that this would be the speed on road, this would be, but to run that, you would need, either you will need petrol, you will need diesel to run that vehicle. You have full information, but to run that, the fuel is emotion. Control both of them. If the fuel is not there, the vehicle cannot run. And in case if fuel is there and the vehicle is not there, you can't move ahead. So emotion will bring about the behavioral intelligence, while information will give you the operational intelligence. Emotion plus information, I have done this of my own. I'm sure if you will try and Google it, I'm doubtful you would get this anywhere. And I hope some of you would agree with me. Emotion plus information gives us the required output. Yes, I wanted to study. I have my emotion. I want to be successful in life. I have the information that yes, if I go to this ABC school, I would be able to succeed well, my results do well. I get a feedback that yes, I can move ahead into another college, which can give me a professional degree. My senses are happy, and I develop a new self of mine to start a new journey. Similarly, at work, when we are going to work, we have a certain emotion that, yes, today's day, I just don't want to while away. Always conduct a due diligence on the system, that is me, you, or anyone else, and then connect with whatever is the next situation, next information that needs to come up. How can I get my own peace? By disconnecting from the given scenario, when if in case if there is an emotional high, even while having a lot of fun, which is on the positive side, if it so happens that I need to become focused, I need to become serious, I have gone for a roller coaster ride on an entertainment fun with all my friends, but once when I'm back home, I need to disconnect with what I was a few hours back. How do I do that? If I am still reeling in it after coming back home, sitting and just, trying to think, oh, wow, what was it? When can I next go in it? I have not disconnected. And if I am not disconnected, I cannot focus on anything that is in front of me. And if I can't focus on anything that is in front of me, I'm sure not to do it well. This happens even at work. This happens even while we are cooking. If suppose people talk about being multitasker, Multitasker people definitely can do 4 5 jobs, but I think their focus is always on one thing at a time. If I am preparing 4 things, just to state an example at home, if I'm trying to make a milkshake, I'm trying to make some toast, I'm trying to cut some fruits, but I'm doing one job at a time, right? Making the milkshake, I'm putting it into it. At that time, I'm not putting, the fruits inside, or, I am looking towards the toaster. What I want to say is that being a multitasker is good because that shows the activity of your brain level. However, whenever anybody is doing anything, they are doing one task only at a time. If we are doing that task, have complete focus because it's the focus that can only bring you the success. So try to disconnect from whatever was the past in case if you need success in present. Connecting with disconnect is supreme. This brings about the silence within oneself. We all know that change is happening every second. See, we started this session at 5:30. We got thrown out twice in it. That's a change. We all didn't expect this. It happened. So be it. We accepted it. We moved ahead. So, what I am trying to say is accept change because change brings you as an involved person. We all realize that how the previous time was than the present, and we can upgrade ourselves. Within those few minutes, we have brought about a change within ourselves into our hearing, into our more receptivity in this present presentation. Similarly, in our lives also, after an hour, what are you supposed to do? You may be thinking, but not necessarily it may happen the way you have thought about it. So there's a change yet again. Be prepared for change. Changes are happening every second. And the more adaptable we are, the better we are. Because that shows how controlled are we with time, information, and emotions. Accept the change because change means you are evolving. So let me just put this together that information, if information is a provider, then emotion is an enabler. And both are very powerful words. One being provider, people look at father figure as the provider, while here I am making information so powerful that it is a provider. But to run this information, we need emotion, which will act as an enabler. Focus on both. If I look at this, we should understand life should have a balance at all times because nature has advised us, nature shows us that we cannot live alone. We need everyone. We need to coexist. We need to coexist with nature. We need to coexist with one another, human beings, be it even the other living beings. We need to respect because each one of us holds some or the other unique value within us, which no other human being will ever have. The providence has so many permutations and combinations that he never duplicates any human being. Never is the word. If we can, remember such a small thing that the other person has one thing within themselves, which I do not have, is good enough for all of us to respect them. Yes, fights are inevitable. Fight, no problem. Argue, get angry, but as I mentioned it earlier, come back because we need to live together. There is no problem in going up and saying, oh, I am sorry. You lose nothing. Instead, you gain that person. Maybe not at that given moment because you may have realized your mistake, but other person may be still holding you accountable. give him or her the time. It's time that is everything. That give the time, because if I have hurt somebody, the other person will take time to heal. And healing is on each individual's capacity, that how they can bounce back. Pain suffers and you can ground the person. However, if you become highly informational, you may not be sensitive to what somebody else is going through a pain. You will not be able to empathize. Empathize is not only when the other person is in pain. Empathy is on account of personal pain. It could be on professional pain. It could be on market pain. It could be on situational pain. It could be on pain not even connected between the two, but to any external factor. So try and keep a balance between the two, and it would be the best work-life integration. Why should emotions be controlled? As I mentioned earlier, that both need to be in sync. I want to bring about that the frequency at which information flows is like electricity. It's lightning. Before even we realize, a lot of information has already come. For those who have, glued to the WhatsApp and to the other social apps, would find that they are flooded with information. Now, how do you figure out which information you need or which you don't need? So information is coming at all, at all frequencies. It could be high, it could be low, and they're coming from quarters beyond your control. It is market driven, whereas you are the driver of your emotions, and emotions can act as a stabilizer to absorb fluctuating electricity. I'm sure, in yesteryears, it was a very common thing. These days, there are inbuilt stabilizers in most of the electronic refrigerators, or even in, air conditioners and so on. But in earlier times, there used to be a separate stabilizer just to absorb the fluctuating electricity. So our emotions that we are driver of will act as a stabilizer to control this information which is coming at different voltages. Both of them need to be monitored and filtered. However, there's a rider. The rider is to control emotions. It is inversely proportional to the flowing of information. Why? Because A, we cannot see the system of emotions within ourselves, where it is happening, why is it happening. So to control that would become a little more difficult. Yet you are the driver, for which you need to be far too intelligent the way you need to maneuver or control your vehicle of emotions. Information on the other side is, as I mentioned, is coming from external factors. You definitely cannot control it, but you can filter it. Last but not the least, we all have gone through this. We all go through this, that when our emotions are out of control, we are incontrollable. Nothing can control us. Even if the best of the people, your child may come and say sorry to you, you just don't want to listen, because at that time, our ego is playing the maximum role. It's our ego who does not want to douse that pain. We have blown it a little more out of proportion, which is not needed, and we can retrace our steps if we want to. Now, if you will look at this chart, this is a very, very interesting chart, and it is going to affect and improve us right after my session for those who will accept it, that yes, this is how we all respond. Because decision making is there with every human being. We are deciding whether to have an apple or whether to have a pear or a papaya. That's a decision. Everybody is making decisions. Whether should I wear this dress or that dress for a child, whether should I play A game or B game. At the work level, should I take up A project or B project? Should I take this job or that job? What is going to work, what is not going to work is all information driven, but you have to take a decision. Despite your teams giving you the best of the inputs, despite you knowing all the risks, the likely frauds that can take place, you have done your due diligence. But before you say, yes, go ahead, you have to take a decision. How do we decide? And what role does emotion have in making our decisions? The simple thing is that this is an integral emotion. This is your current emotion. Right now, when you're listening to me, with what emotion are you listening to me? Is it that you are listening to me as a sponge, wherein, okay, whatever she's saying, maybe 2%, 1%, I may imbibe after her session. Or maybe if I'm looking at it in a very critical manner, that let me find where does she go wrong? Or else you're just listening. That okay, fine. It's like pouring water on a duck's back. Nothing is going in. Nothing is going to affect the duck. So what are your current emotions becomes a relevant factor for those who want to. These dotted line means that they carry a certain amount of bias. Your current emotions will bring a certain amount of bias into your judgment. Now, to your current emotion, it's possible that your incidental emotions also play an important role. If you are a little angry, suppose, and the environment around you is not as congenial, you want to go out, but it's raining heavily, so it further dampens your mood, your emotions. So they just catapult to a higher level of an negative emotion, which may bring in not the right judgment. Similarly, personality preferences. Oh, how could you decide when I had to decide? I am in the the role play that we want to play at work with anyone. No, this is not your domain to take the decision. If I want to on purpose delay it, okay, the file has come, let it sit for some time. What is the rush? Let that person panic. How I wish people did not think that way. Because there's somebody who must be needing that file to move ahead. Somebody who needs decision. Maybe it's affecting their career in the courts, into so many hospitals, into so many cases that are getting delayed at different fronts. Only if all of us did not bring in that probability or interpersonal reasons to affect our current, to affect the judgment. So in a very most pragmatic manner, if you have emotional control and you are making a judgment, you begin here. You take a decision, you get an outcome. And then you go back into a new situation, because every situation has a new parameter, a new ingredient. No two cases are the same. No two cases. It could be the same type of a borrower, but lending a loan to A borrower does not mean that you can lend the loan to a B borrower as well. Because what are his, criteria? Can we deep dive a little more to figure out that how is A different than B? So this would become your next challenge. However, these expected outcomes, in case if you take it back to your conditional thing, they can act as a bias. So this is how that generally our emotions play a very, very effective role in decision making, and which we are doing every time. Decision, as I've mentioned, like being in the kitchen. Oh, today I do not want to have simple. हम कह रहे हैं हमें आलू रसे की सब्जी चाहिए, and you're going to give me a mushroom vegetable. Sorry, I don't need it. A decision is also taken there, and how it affects our current emotion. It goes wrong. We come back and we create a mess because of our emotions. So emotions play a very, very vital role. These are the two that we need to always keep in mind, this and this. How do I remove the emotional bias? It's in threefold. If I am biased towards someone, should I continue to remain biased? Spend just 2 minutes, not more than 2 minutes. It won't take much of your time. Oh, I have a next file to do. People these days, you call someone, they will say, oh, I was in a meeting. This meeting thing has become a fashion. To be very honest, yes, many meetings are taking far too long. Either there is no clarity in presentation, or else there is no clarity in what is the next to be done. Because this technology has enabled all of us now. We can understand that this is the new working system. So accept it. However, we are delaying our decisions on account of maybe an bias, which could be related to an emotion. So avoid current and unrelated emotions that can influence your decision making. Second, remove your previous bias. When there is a bias, suppose, just pause. Take that time off. I need to think again. Just those 3, 4, 5 minutes. Take that time off. Pause, think, and re strategize. You will have a new perspective. As you grow senior in age, in experience, or in position, your responsibilities increase manifold. They just increase. It is very simple for someone to make a judgment, oh, this person is delaying. But probably that gentleman or the lady has plenty other things. It's not only one vertical that they need to respond to. So as you become senior, you need a very high emotional control. It is no more a luxury, it is a necessity. Because this will keep your inner body, your inner system, absolutely sound and functioning while you are giving your decisions to the outside world. Whether at work, whether at school, whether at, even in your own house, just keep your emotional control. Let's examine how emotions build behaviors and attitudes. It's a 5-step process. You get a stimuli, it is sent to the brain. That's point here, that's at the peripheral. Brain decodes the stimuli and sends it to the mind. Mind then responds. The response comes out as an emotion, and the emotion then makes the behavior. I'll repeat. It is the stimuli which it comes from an action is sent to the brain. The brain decodes and sends it to the mind. The mind then responds. Response becomes your emotion, and your emotion becomes your behavior and attitude. And we repeat that. And people read us. Oh, this is how she is going to react. I have told her she is going to react this way, because people start mapping you like we map others. Only if we knew this truth, possibly we would not, misbehave the times that we do. Only if we can understand how it's affecting our internal system also, we would not harm ourselves. But there is something at the core. All this is happening. All this is happening to give, a result, a behavior, and an attitude. So what is there at the core? At the core is your controlling energy. This energy is the control button. And because it's an energy, it is full of life. It is only even if there is something which has gone wrong, it will throw up the energy upwards to correct it. It only knows how to draw the balance, how to keep you afloat, and how to keep you happy, provided you believe in this energy, provided you go back and say, let me switch it on. Let that current flow within me. Let that answer come in, and it will control our emotions. Now, how to shape our emotions? There is only one way we can do it, is Let's know, okay, okay, my father behaved this way, my father behaves like this, my mother behaves, that's my grandparents did this. So that's a genetic inheritance. However, this is how I have learned from school, my college, my work environment. This is how I have to behave. So I've learned two broad segments. I have one that is there with me as genetic, the other is the environmental. Compare the two. Pick what is good for you. Then check your habitual, that whether this is my habit, is am I doing this? If yes, it needs correction, construct and design your future. Construction takes a very long time. A very small example, we spend about 1.5, 2 hours just cooking a meal. One meal, minimum 1.5, 2 hours. And we finish off the food, wrap up that whole food within 20 minutes, 25 minutes. So whatever time you are spending in constructing, 1/3 of it you take in finishing it off. And less than that, just a minute you will take to give your judgment. Oh, the food was not good. Mom, today your food was not good. This was not how I wanted. Maybe somebody else would say, okay, fine, this is it. So judgment takes a very short time. Construction takes a very long time. It could be even while doing a project. You have been working on a project for months together, 1 month, 2 months. You work on that project and then you roll it out. The results are out. That result, which is there, which is out, has been decided. People will talk, people will criticize, or whatever it will be. People will forget that in those 2 months, you did your best. People forget that in those 2 months, you did your complete due diligence, yet it failed. The project failed, or yet the project became a success. If it failed, to me, I firmly believe there is never in life a second plan. There is no plan B. What you did was in it. You have done it, you've got a result, end of the story. For you to reconstruct that, it will have all the new parameters. It may have new people, it may have new thinking, it may have a new vision, the market has moved ahead, and so have you moved ahead. So it needs a reconstruct again. Remember that bad emotions are bad only when they harm you, otherwise, all emotions are okay. Emotions are pouring in, regulate it. Regulate it, this is you, and keep only those emotions within yourself that you can handle. If you can't handle, it will lead like this. There will be an overflow, and we all know when water flows out, what a mess it creates. We need to swab it, we need to clean it, we need to dry it again. So it is a mess. So control your emotions, otherwise they will create a mess. In this last understanding, in this last construct of mind, if this is where the emotions are flowing, this is you. First in, first out. Whichever emotion is coming, if you have certain filters, can I throw them out? Similarly, the information is also flowing, how much I need to absorb. This will show how we will have our behaviors, our thinking, and understanding. This should be your control mechanism. Have an outlet. In case if you are annoyed, just walk away. Just have an outlet, because it will take you away from anxieties, depression, too much of enjoyment, or being exploited. If you know how to be away from a given situation, it will bring back your calm and composure. Use a filter if it's possible. This will further tune your emotions. That, okay, out of those 5 emotions, I need to definitely exercise 2 of them, and I can use 1 of them. That brings about your discretion. What could be the filters is just to be silent. Going blank when there is a discord. This is a substitute for those who cannot meditate. Just be silent. Move away from everything. Don't even think about the pain. Because if you are moving away from the situation and thinking about the pain, then you are not silent. Then your mind is on, you're working on it. This will energize you and provide you with a perspective. If there is a confrontation beyond discussion, move out without showing any emotions. Please don't show, oh, I'm annoyed or I'm happy. People carry that. If you will continue, it's possible that your opponent may strike again at you. Confront situations only when you have an answer. Otherwise, you are pedaling in an upstream. It's not only difficult, it's impossible. Emotions, they are pouring in you. I'm talking now about mixed emotions. It's not one emotion that comes in at a time. It's a mix of emotions. Don't mix them. Because if you will mix your emotions, they'll create a mess. You'll get confused. You can get a mixed identity or lose your original identity. So keep them segregated. Keep them in different compartments. We all need this, right? We need to be happy. We need to have emotional stability. We need success. We need to do best, remain focused, be creative. But all this is in our minds. We have to make it happen. My simple question is, do we take care of our mind? Maybe we all need to think again, because emotions are affecting us every second, every moment. We need to make ourselves better because the society in which we live, the environment in which we live, we need one another and we are affecting one another. If we can understand this, I think we have been successful. I leave you with a few slides of mine now as I close my session. It will just take another 5 to 6 minutes maximum, minimum 4 minutes. Thank you very much. I want to thank everyone. I know there have been plenty of glitches today, and maybe some of you may have found it a little discomforting, but that's okay. I think, and wishing you all a very good evening, a Sunday evening. Enjoy it and feel good.